Welcome to PEP Talks with Eric, where we shift gears from negative feedback loops and drive towards the life we truly want. I'm your host, Eric Ayers. I believe in the power of Ubuntu. I am because we are. Together, we'll explore how connections fuel our growth and create amazing experiences. In this podcast, we'll tune out the noise of the world and tune into what we really want and what really matters. Guys, thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Pep Talks with Coach Eric. I'm your host, Coach Eric, and I'm super excited about today's episode. So Lorraine and I, we had this conversation that felt like we had known each other for 10 years, right? And we hop in and we start talking, and we have so many commonalities but we're so diversely different in so many different ways, but the commonalities were so interesting. So I'm excited to have her here today. Her story is so intriguing. Beginning in the Air Force and then moving from the Air Force to the corporate world and then into healthcare through lean. So everyone who knows me understands my passion for innovation, and lean is just right there in one of those powerhouses. So I invited Lorraine to come on, and she graciously accepted. And so I'm super excited for this conversation. So first and foremost, Lorraine Armijos, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Eric, so much. I'm really excited to be here and to share with you my journey with you and your listeners.
I'm excited to have you here. And I did not roll the R as we practiced before.
I know,
yes. But it's okay. I'll get it.
It's okay.
If you wouldn't mind, just take a few minutes and I hit the highlight of, what I gathered from knowing you in a short amount of time, but I would love the listeners to hear more of your story, your background, what led to, we will say, the pivotal moment or the transition.
Yeah, so I started in the Air Force. I actually joined the Air Force because I was done with college. Like you go through your years of school, and then I did a year in college. And I decided I needed something different. I needed a break. And so my break was joining the Air Force, which was an amazing experience. And that is actually how I got into healthcare, because I was a medical laboratory technologist. And I chose that because since a kid, I always wanted to be in healthcare. And so that was my in. And while in the military, because I was a reserves, U.S. Air Force Reserves, I got a job in a laboratory. And that is where I got introduced to lean. Consultants came to the laboratory, and it wasn't such a great experience for me. I actually wasn't into lean versus how I am today, which I can talk about it forever. But that was my introduction to lean. It was consultants coming in, making changes, right? Everything's going to be better. And then once I became a leader in this laboratory, and I was once again forced, because they're like, we're doing lean, you're doing lean if you want to be a leader. That's when I started seeing the power of lean, because I started seeing how my employees were engaged. So my team started to get engaged. They became the ones solving the problems versus me being the hero of the day, solving the problems for them. And so that was really, really powerful for me to see. And of course, I gained time back, and I am able as a leader to do also other things to help the organization move forward. So that is was my transition from the Air Force into my healthcare and lean in there.
Super fascinating. A couple of things that popped up that just highlighted was, first of all, you took a break from school to go to the military. That was your break. That's interesting. And
sorry. And what? I wish I would have known about this gap year, travel the world.
Yeah.
But But I guess in my head, I'm like, I need money. And also and I didn't know about this whole gap year or
Yeah.
anything like, so yeah, I wish I would have known more about that. And who knows, maybe my life would have turned out differently, but it worked out perfectly.
Yeah. And I do want to, I really want to circle back to that because there's something about a lived experience that leads into a transformation. So I want to stay on that. I also want to acknowledge that, yeah, I didn't know about that gap year either. And I mean, I live right by the Appalachian Trail. Like doing the AT would have been phenomenal. But back to the story. So the other fascinating thing I found out in or identified within your story is that when you first met, when you were first introduced with lean, you didn't like it, right? It was you have to do this, you have to change, and it's like uncomfortable. But when you shifted and transitioned into a leadership role, you were able to see the value, and then you described what I would say is you learned the value of empowering others.
Yes.
And that walk, can you walk me through that shift in terms of like, was it an aha moment? Was it like oh my gosh, this is completely shifting my life? Or was it a culmination of, a bunch of smaller decisions that you're like, wait a minute, I'm in a different place now?
Yeah. So whenever lean was introduced, it was kind of, we were told what to do, what to change, right? And lean really is about respect for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not feeling respected, I guess, would be the kind of like the short of on that.
Yes.
But then once I became a leader, and then I learned what lean really is about. And, we started doing our daily huddles and doing, which is literally a daily huddle to prepare for the day. And then I could see the team shifting and the team stopping come to me all the time for answers, but they were coming with their own answers. That was my aha moment. And I think the aha moment came when I was running late to the meeting, to the huddle, and they came looking for me. They're like, "Are you not gonna come?" Like, I was like, "Oh, this is important to them." Right. And so that was really the moment that I realized how important it was.
Yeah.
And how engaged they were already.
That's incredible. I can feel like the energy from that. And the first thing that I heard in my mind was a concept from Seth Godin that is, will your art, so he refers to the jobs that we do, everything that we put out there, whatever it is, as art. So if your art wasn't provided to the group that expects it, would it be missed? And the fact that you said you were running late and people came to look for you, the value within that is so huge that they're missing it. And they're like, I need this. That is awesome. And I can see that the huddles, and I've experienced huddles different ways, but the ones that are intentional and with thought-provoking intention can literally shift and change and move mountains within the culture of the organization.
Yes. And for me, and how I work with my clients is that the huddles are owned by the frontline team. They're not owned by the leader. And so really give them ownership to say what is important to you.
Yeah.
And of course, as a leader, you give the guidelines, right? You do that, but they are really the ones who own it and transform it and say what's important, and they change it. So that is really, it's really great. And I wish more and more people would really lean into it, for lack of a better word.
Nailed it. I love that. Yeah, it's almost like I picture a toddler who you're like, all right, we can color within this. Within this, build your masterpiece, draw your masterpiece, paint it, whatever. But like as a leader, you set the boundaries, and it's like, you in here, It's free game. And I love that. And I love that concept of lean, because you're the first person that I've heard explain it in the way that you do. And I love it, because design thinking was the innovation modality that shifted the way that I saw the world. And it was about becoming solution focused. So identifying a problem and using that problem as the identifier of we need to shift. But after that, now we're solution focused. And that's the energy that I feel every time you explain lean, and every time your passion comes in. So I love that in the frontline approach. Sweet. So, okay. How did, walk us through this transition of, okay, in the Air Force, you're introduced to healthcare, and then you became a leader in healthcare. At what point did the pandemic hit, and what happened within that time that kind of disrupted the world?
I was in a leadership role, and I wanted to move into a healthcare system. And so my foot in the door was become a consultant. And my goal there was, okay, in my head, right? We all have our plans. Get in, be a consultant, take a leadership role, and continue my leadership journey.
Yes.
And so I became a consultant. I got into the healthcare system that I wanted, and I had my baby. And of course, things shifted for me. And I was very happy in my consultant role. I was very happy with my boss, everything. And then during that time, I started going through coaching. I was going through being certified in coaching. And then the pandemic happened. And probably, I don't know how many months, but soon after that, we were laid off. And it really, I don't know. It's a roller coaster of emotions. Have you been laid off?
I have. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so you know that it's a roller coaster of emotions. And luckily I was still going through my coaching courses. So that, to me, being laid off and going through coaching was a blessing in disguise, because coaching is about the client. Whoever you're coaching has the answers within them. Mm-hmm. And so as I'm doing peer coaching, which means that I'm coaching with another student, I am learning more about myself. I am going through this thing. And so I am learning about myself. And I'm not only that, but I was able to see what others, like how their other people's problems and how they handle it. And just listening to so many of my peers was so inspirational. And being laid off allowed me to discover who I really was. And it changed what I wanted to do also.
And what was that?
Oh,
what was that you wanted to do?
Yeah. So it changed. So after I got laid off, right, it was like, okay, I'm just going to find another job.
Yeah.
But through coaching, what I discovered was that I wanted to do my own thing, which is how I started LAR INSIGHTS. And I think a lot of the peer coaching helped me to see this. I really enjoy leadership roles. I love it. I love it because you're able to transform not only the work that you do for the patients, but also I love it for my team. It's like, how can I help them? How can I develop them? Yeah. And all that really brings me a lot of joy. But through the coaching, I realized also that I can have a greater impact, because I only have here an impact for 30 employees, right? Or however many I have. But if I coach 5 leaders, right? And so now it's just multiplying the impact that I have, and I can touch so many more people. And I think that right there I'm like, that is exactly what I want to do. I want to change lives.
Yeah. That's Oh, that's amazing. That
Go
is
ahead.
amazing. I love that. It's interesting. Like we as humans do not like change. At a
Mm,
core level, we do not like change because as we change, we have to physically, mentally, emotionally create a new set of behaviors, right? And it's very uncomfortable. And when there's uncertainty from a layoff, those emotions are now tapping into, I have to change. All this stuff is changing. I have a family, like, and our mind's going crazy. It is amazing that you had the opportunity that during this time to be in the middle of learning coaching. Because for those of you who do not know, going through coaching training is so empowering and so powerful because like personal experience was it shifted me out of telling people what to do from like a
mhm.
consultant and then going into exactly what you said. The person I'm speaking with has the answers inside. I am going to help them find the key to unlock it themselves. I'm not going to unlock it. We're going to go on this journey together. And learning how to do that and having someone do that for you as well, and the reciprocation of that coaching, what a beautiful gift. And I love that you articulated what a beautiful gift that is. Because I mean, ultimately that's gratitude and that's how we become better people. And the other thing I would love to hit on, because everything you spoke of was this identified purpose, and purpose leads to impact. And when we are living in our purpose, we innately create human connections. And if we're impacting other humans, they're impacting other humans. That human connection, the Ubuntu spirit of the I am because we are. And so I would love to hear a little bit more on like how has that, if it has, how has that changed or traversed or elevated since the pandemic, and then now diving into your coaching business, opening up your own business, and now helping clients, create bigger impact.
It's it's starting a business, it's as hard as everyone says it is, right? It's as
Yeah.
it's not as easy, and I never wanted or had any interest because I knew how hard it was, and I was comfortable doing what I was doing. Um, and so it's been it's been challenging in that I've never done it before, and so
Mhm.
I love a good challenge, and so that has been I'm continuously learning. Every day I'm continuously learning. It's like and reflecting on what I've done to be
Yeah.
better.
Yes.
But having my own clients just brings me so much joy. It brings me so much joy to be able to support them in their journey, whether it's a personal goal that they have in in their own leadership journey, or whether it's consulting and supporting them with lean or anything else with their business. Just being there, seeing their transformation. I Eric, I'm just it's just amazing. It's just it brings me so much joy, and I can't see myself doing something else at this point. Life changes. Who knows in the future? But at this point, uh, I'm really enjoying what I do.
Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing in the ability to celebrate, because I mean, to be a small part of someone's transformation in whatever capacity is like a huge blessing. And expanding leaders into better leaders who then create better leaders beyond that is, I mean, that's how we impact the world. So thank you
Yeah.
for what you do. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
No, and what I was going to say also is that I learned so much from them because, every person is so unique and
Mhm.
has gone through very unique experiences. And so then when they let me in and start sharing all this, I gained so much from it. I love learning from others, and so I'm continuously learning through them also. So it's a win-win situation.
I could not agree more. That is, yes, it's like it's been said that mentorship is like, it's not one person mentoring and the other, it's a co-mentoring because,
Hmm.
and I think that is every human relationship. And when they come together in a safe space to share, because safety is required, because I mean there's a lot of deep internal work that happens through this,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of self-reflection, and in order to move beyond that, I think that's the power of coaching, in my opinion, is the safety that's brought in there. And then once the veil is gone, it's like, okay, now we can truly transition into what's needed, and then we
Hmm.
could go change the world. And we do this like one conversation at a time. And that's what I find
Yeah.
beautiful about it. And your energy, it just radiates. And so like I can imagine being, in your client's shoes and feeling this reception of like, I am enough. I can do this. I've got this. So that's amazing.
Yeah. I see it as, you get together with your client and you just help them, right? I guess I visualize like cobwebs, like, old boxes.
Yeah.
And as you're meeting with them, you're just removing everything for them to see themselves
Mhm.
and really reach the goals that they're meant to
Mhm.
get to.
Yes. What a great way to put that. I love that analogy. And it's as if we are a kind mirror sharing back to say, this is what we see. How does that resonate? And then continuing to unpack these boxes, move them out of the way,
Mhm.
or as they unpack and move them out of the way. And we're
Yeah.
just simply there navigating and
Mhm.
guiding. That's awesome. Um, I okay. What is one, at least one? I could never answer this question if I asked myself. So, what is at least one resource that you could share with with the listeners that completely revolutionized either the way you saw the world or shifted your thinking, shifted your mindset, something that you find incredibly valuable?
This is my boss used to say this, and this is what lean is what does a little better look like? Right? And I know me, I can only speak for me.
Yeah.
I want, even as I'm going into social media and everything, it's like I want everything to be perfect before I put anything out,
Yeah.
and it paralyzes you.
Mhm.
But through lean, one of the things that we always teach is like, what is that one small change that you can make to be better? And I think that if we would all really kind of take that in and remove the being perfect, I think we could get a lot further, right? I think that would be one thing that I would love for everyone to be able to do for themselves.
Oh, that's awesome. And how much better would we be in a week if we did
Yes.
that, right? Um, a colleague of mine used to say, it's me versus yesterday. I'm not. It's am I a little bit better than I was yesterday? And to that point, if we made what's the one little bitty thing that we can do that's better than we did previous, in whatever aspect we're seeking. And oh, what a great um, quote, or a great ideal to live in. Huh,
Yeah, and
that's
I
cool.
think the other piece that I would also share is the importance of reflection,
Mhm.
because we don't take our lives are always so busy, we're always moving so fast, and it is so important, right? You take that little step to stop and reflect. Did it work? Did it not work? Why did it not
Yes,
work?
right.
What could I do better? Right? Like with that little thing. And so I think reflection is free and you can develop so much faster if you're able to take time to reflect at what you've done,
Right.
how's it worked, how it hasn't, and just keep improving. And it's free.
It is free. Sometimes we have to get out of our own way because the pursuit to perfection is a thief of joy, right? So if we're pursuing perfection, most of the time we're not wanting to reflect. We're just wanting to be perfect and create this idea of the perfection that we're in the pursuit of. But the cost is taking a second to reflect on that and to be like, okay, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but if I want it to be better and I made this change, why didn't this work, or why did this work? And then beginning to like barely pivot instead of doing 180s and doing something completely different the next day. And now we're like, okay, now we're doing the little things that, it's the first step in a marathon, right?
Exactly.
And then you're going to take the next one. Like the marathon starts with the first step. So what if we took these concepts, and they sound so abstract, right? They sound like, oh, that sounds so good. But what if we actually did it? What if we actually reflected? And I'm asking this to everyone. If we just did this and then did it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day, pretty soon we're going to be creating habitual patterns that create a positive feedback loop in our life that drive us in the direction we want to go. So that was probably the most brilliant piece of advice that I have heard, at least this week. So Lorraine, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I love it.
And an actual physical resource, if you want it, it's the 5-minute reflection journal. Okay. It's something that I've been using for many years, and it's something that gives you a structure, because I know some of us need that structure to help us. Yes. And that one is a great tool that I actually give to my clients for them to use to just give them that time to reflect. And that's structure.
Awesome. Okay. Yes, because I can see that structure helping in getting me out of my own head to say, oh, because then everything becomes arbitrary and it's like everything, right? Yes. I can look at everything, but now we have a focused plan. And yes, definitely I can see the lean behind that and the ideas.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Awesome.
It all goes back to lean.
Always.
At least in my world.
Yeah. And, but that's how we continuously improve, right? It's in removing the dichotomies of good or bad, or we're not fast enough, we're too slow, removing all of those and just being and working towards progress, because that's what we're looking for, is progress over perfection. Last thing I would like to ask you about, because I have experiences, I think I would say everyone who has started their own business has felt the fear of, I describe it as rock climbing. I'm not a rock climber, but the analogy works for me, of having to let go of our previous hold in order to grab the next hold to move forward. Sometimes that paralyzes us because we want to move forward, but it's so safe back here.
Yes.
Any advice or any ideas on letting go of that fear, or on the flip side, tapping into potential?
And I think it goes back to that reflection piece of why are you holding? Well, for me, right, is like, why are you holding back? Why can you not let go and go to the next piece of, using the rock climbing analogy?
Yeah.
And really taking time to understand that, because there's always a reason why, right? Why we're holding it. And so it's important to reflect and understand. And sometimes for me, it's just just let go, just do it. Right. Like what is my goal and how can I get there? And sometimes the answer is just let go. But for me, I do a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking and understanding why am I sometimes paralyzed, which it happens. It happens, especially for me and the social media and all that. It is paralyzing for me sometimes.
Yeah. So just rip the Band-Aid off and just let go, right? And just move forward.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you
Yeah.
need to do it. Other times, like for example, with what I'm just sharing, um, it's creating a plan, right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes creating a plan helps us know, okay, now I have my plan, I can let go and
Yeah.
follow my plan, knowing that sometimes it doesn't go as planned, but at least is that, and I don't rock climb either, but it's that belt,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah. Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
that's your plan. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I've worked hard enough on my plan. Now I need to execute it.
Right.
And so hoping that, that'll work.
Right. Yeah, because that adds a little complexity to it. Because at what point do you have enough inputs, and now it's time to create outputs? Because and this brings in as we start to close here, that brings in the human design aspect of it, and that's the part that fascinates me because some people need a 10-step process to say this is how we do it, and this is how I'm going to do it. And then they need coaching to be able to take that and put it into application, or to feel empowered to put into application. Other people need to take a step back and be like, all right, you need 2 steps. Like, don't ad hoc it here, 2 steps before you hop into this. And that's the beauty of human behavior and human connection and leadership, because it's humans working with other humans, and we're all different, and we all bring such a huge value based on those differences. And so that's what I love what you're doing, is prepping people, empowering people to go into these spaces and identify the superheroes of their teams, to say these are going to highlight on their own as we go through these processes. We're very specific about the action steps, and then the superpowers together are going to create an amazing culture, which is going to create an amazing organization. And oh yeah, by the way, the clients are going to feel this, and they're going to be like, this is such an amazing place, right? And it's all cyclical.
Everyone feels it. Yes.
Everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So whatever energy that is, everyone feels it. And so why not create the culture? Why don't we design the culture that we want? And beginning with the leaders, because
it always starts with the leaders. It starts with their commitment, and every leader that have done it and committed to it and has gone all the way in, I have not met yet a leader that doesn't, that regrets having gone all the way in, because they see the benefits of it.
Right. Awesome. I want to leave space. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on, or anything else that you would like to share before we end?
No, I think the only thing is to what you were saying earlier, how, with the human design piece, is that, we as humans just need to understand that we're all very different, right? And what works for one person doesn't work for another, and give grace to ourselves, and move forward when we are ready, and prepare the best way that we know how to prepare ourselves. So
I could not agree more, because in our differences, even if we're vastly different, we still have similarities, we still have commonalities, and we still have this amazing ability to do whatever needs to be done together. And we're so much better together. And I love that. I mean, like, even in our differences, there's so many similarities, Lorraine, that it's like, I mean, I could talk for hours on continuous improvement, on leadership, on human design, on culture, on, I mean,
we can talk forever.
Exactly. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so my website, and you're gonna have it in your notes.
It's gonna be down below. Yep.
LARinsights.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube.
Awesome. Yes, we will have all of those links. Thank you so much. This was absolutely amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. And I hope we keep our connection going.
I have a feeling we will. And yeah, I love this. Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, please like it. Please subscribe. If you think that you could benefit from Lorraine's coaching or consulting, reach out to her. I highly recommend you reach out to her. Just follow one of the links that we're going to have in the description. But thank you so much for joining us and hearing us enjoy this conversation on continuous improvement, on empowering people to become the best versions of themselves, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what we're about. We are here to help people become better people, and that includes ourselves. Everything that we do, everything that we share, we start with the reflection, as Lorraine talked about, and we continue this. And we would love to help you in any way possible. And even if it is continuing to nurture the relationships through the podcast, through one-on-one interactions, whatever that may be, please reach out. But thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Pep Talks with Coach Eric. And until next time, be well, be loved. Thank you for joining me on Pep Talks with Eric, where together we shift our focus, embrace connection, and drive towards a more fulfilling life. Remember, it's not just about where you're headed, but how you choose to travel along the way. As you continue your journey, know that you have the power to change lanes and focus on the path that leads to positivity, purpose, and connection. Let's stay connected and continue empowering your journey one commute at a time. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. And until then, be well, be loved.